Hello, who do we have on the line in terms of board members?
Marquita Robertson.
Good morning, Marquita.
This is Melinda. I'm here. Good morning.
Hey, Melinda.
Good morning. This is Chris Egan.
Hey, Chris. Okay, we're ready.
Good morning, everyone. This is State Treasurer Dale Falwell calling the Thursday, May 9th board meeting to order. Is that it? Anything else not yours? We'll now call the meeting to order. If you'll stand and join us for our Pledge of Allegiance and our salute to the North Carolina flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I pledge to the flag,
The flag of the old North
our
State.
state.
Pledge the old North State love, loyalty.
Thank you. I stumbled because as we look out our window here, we're seeing our flags are at half mast, and in a few hours I'll be attending one of the funerals of one of the slain officers who was ambushed in Charlotte, and that so I was looking at that flag and thinking about our flag and thinking about this funeral. I lost my way. That's all I can tell you. So I hope that all of our members will continue to hold those families, law enforcement family, and those communities in your prayers. Our meeting's being recorded and will be posted online, and as will other board materials. Jeff, if you'll call the roll.
Treasurer Falwell,
Aye. Here.
Tim Smith, Melinda Plew,
I'm here.
Chris Egan,
I'm here.
Marquita Robertson,
I'm here.
and Katie Boskin.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you. Board members, the General Assembly is considering a appointments bill. Of course, they're always considering an appropriation bill, but an appointments bill regarding the able board. So maybe after that process is done, we'll have some new board members. All votes for today will be taken by roll call unless there's an objection. Any motion, second to a motion for efficiency purposes will be considered a yes vote. Let me get back on track here. If you leave the meeting for any time, please announce your departure so that we can record it for the board meeting minutes. Please mute your phone when you're not speaking, and be aware that any text or any other communications between board members during the meeting, even on personal phones, are considered public records to the extent that they concern the issues of the meeting itself. We've called the roll. We have an Ethics Act. Members, you've seen our agenda. Does anyone have a conflict or potential conflict of interest regarding any matter that's before us? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to accept the approval of the meeting minutes of November 8th of 2023.
So moved. This is Melinda.
Thank you.
This is Katie. I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner. Motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Treasurer Falwell,
Aye.
Chris Egan,
Aye.
and Marquita Robinson.
Aye.
Okay. Motion, the minutes are approved. Now we'll have an update, General Assembly letter from Jeff Hancock.
Great. Board members, we did include in your materials the letter that we submit to the General Assembly each year. And so we have that in there for your benefit. But I did want to just point out a few highlights from that letter in regards to the program. During the year last year, we did have a new member join the National Able Alliance. That was the state of New Hampshire. They joined in October of 2023, adding and bringing the alliance up to 19 able programs. At the end of last year, we had 2,270 accounts that represented in terms of assets about $24.5 million in assets, and that was a growth of about 34% from the prior year. When we look at how the program is invested, we see a pretty even spread across all of our longer term investment options, but with about 30% of the account owners using the checking account, which is kind of in line as a lot of those folks use those for ongoing monthly expenses. In terms of marketing, we'll hear a little bit more from Christy Fairley in a moment, but we do continue to engage and educate the public through conferences, the community events, as well as webinars. As we've mentioned in the past, certainly raising awareness of the program is our number one priority. That seems where we can really make the biggest difference is just bringing awareness. And then just also wanted to highlight that, one of the things that we're, proud about in terms of new legislation to the program, starting in 2026, the age on which a disability needs to onset will be raised from 26 to 46, well, which will basically double the eligibility of those folks for cable programs across the U.S. So, really proud of that change that the federal government made. And I'll kind of pause there and see if there's any other questions about the General Assembly letter or any other questions about the ABLE program thus far.
Questions? I have a brief question. 529 plan of North Carolina is one of the few plans we don't run in the whole state, and we don't run the 529 plan. But I understand in TurboTax this year that there was a question that popped up when people got distributions from 529 plan about this cycle of my life for college expenses, and where they had to talk about how much money they took out of their 529 plan versus what they're claiming as expenditures. So my query to y'all going forward is to look at the ABLE program to make sure if that's a glitch, or may not be a glitch, it just may be the law, but to make sure that our members through our frequently asked questions are notified about how, we don't give tax advice, but how all this tax stuff works.
Yeah, and we do get those questions during some of our webinars. We do provide a 1099 QA from the program, which does detail out the withdrawals from their ABLE account, and that's something that they can use for their taxes. So we do provide them the proper tax documentation.
Right. But what? So if somebody takes out more out of their 529 plan than their legitimate quote expenses, then that's a tax limit. That's
So on a college 529, that is the case. On an ABLE account, that's not the case. They can actually take out the entire balance. As long as they spend it on a QDE, those monies remain tax-free.
that may have already answered my question then, but you can see where they're.
Sure.
It would cause me to ask a question. Okay, that's all I have. Any other questions from board members from Jeff's update? Okay, next we'll hear from Christy about our communications and marketing update.
Yeah, so we have continued to grow the NC ABLE program organically, and that is through the support of existing account holders, ambassadors, community partners, and through engagement at various events. We have expanded our content on our website, increased engagement with governmental and community partners, some of which are listed here on our webinars and events section. And as an alliance, we initiated an email marketing campaign for all account holders. A census may speak to that later on. I do want to point out that NC Able has seen tremendous growth, not only in the number of accounts, but the assets in each account. And as an alliance, we reached over 450 million, which allows NC Able to lower fees for investment accounts. ncable.org, our website, has been doing very well, and many of the searches and visits to the site can be directly attributed to our marketing campaigns and events. And over the course of time since October 1st, we've had over 7,000 unique visitors. On the next slide, you'll see some of our social media campaigns. It definitely is supporting our efforts. And I want to point out that organic reach has increased over 125%, and our content interactions are up 50%. As we're moving forward over the next couple of months, we're going to continue our sponsorships with the Special Olympics of North Carolina, the North Carolina Autism Society, the Miracle League, and we'll be attending several events and hosting webinars. We're also moving into the corporate space, and we're developing initiatives and partnerships with Krispy Kreme, as well as the North Carolina chapter of SHRM, which is an organization of statewide HR professionals. As we continue to expand awareness in the public and private sectors, we're developing new resources for employers and customizing webinars. I do think that with all of these efforts and kind of moving into all these different sectors, we're going to see a lot of growth, a lot of awareness, and the NC Able program should grow this year. And that's all I have. Does anybody have any questions?
Questions for Christy? All right. Thank you for that update. And as Jeff was mentioning in his update, for those that may be listening in to our ABLE meeting for the first time, when it was New Jersey,
New Hampshire.
New Hampshire. When we talk about these other states, we 8-9 years ago entered into a consortium with other states to combine our ABLE monies so that we could get lower investment fees. So when anytime a state joins in, it's not diluting anything we're doing here in North Carolina. It's actually helping us get more assets under management, which lowers the fees for everyone in the consortium. Next, we'll go to Kim and Molly and Paul with the census.
Kim, are you on mute?
And a census, while we're waiting on them, is our third-party administrator.
Looks like Kim is trying to speak, but she might be having some audio issues.
Multiple microphones, so let me know if you can hear me.
We can hear you now, Kim. Thank you.
Fantastic. Nothing better than your first meeting having audio issues. But my name is Kimberly Shockley. I work for a census. I am a former employee of the state of Rhode Island, and we were an original member of the National ABLE Alliance, which really made this position make sense for me, just starting to work with the team from the census side. I just wanted to start with a couple of things just based on what you guys said. Chrissy brought up the email marketing campaign that was done. And I wanted to let you know that on that engagement, we sent through 3 emails over 70,000 emails to the ABLE Alliance. We had an open rate of between 46 and 54%, which the typical is 21. And as you trickle down the funnel to the bottom, we had a click rate. One of them had a click rate of over 11%, one of almost 6%, and one of 3%. Which, if you look at the overall market, 4% is what you are striving for. So these campaigns are going well. We had 10 states in the alliance that were doing it originally, and now we're up to 17. So I'm glad North Carolina is part of that. Just wanted to give you that update. And there are a number of different campaigns we're going to be doing throughout the year. one of which we're adding in December because that's actually the anniversary of when the legislation went through, the 10-year anniversary for ABLE as a product. So I wanted to let you know that. I also, based on what I believe the treasurer said about the more states we have in, the better it is for North Carolina. We're actually about to reach a break point, hopefully by the end of this summer, with having enough accounts to lower the fees for all participants. So we have about 44,000 accounts now. And the end of this summer, we expect to be over the threshold to reach that break point. So I wanted to let you know that as well. I'm not sure if you want me to show a couple slides, but as far as our relationship with the National ABLE Alliance, Ascensus is working on a couple of different things. One of them is for our entities or organizations. We're starting to work with a lot more organizations that open accounts on behalf of their clients, whether those clients are adults or children, and whether or not they have capacity. These organizations help with creating those accounts. Right now, it's a paper process where the entity has to open up an account on a one-off basis for each of their clients. And then they're only able to see them online if they open individual online accounts for each client. Under this process, which we're going to be rolling out this summer, they're going to be able to open one online registration, and under that registration, see all the accounts that they manage. They'll be able to assign members of their staff to be able to assist with these accounts. They'll be able to see what the balances are, if they've reached their limits, if the account has been closed, if that's the process they're trying to go through. So it will really help those entities which are starting to open multiple accounts, and I know North Carolina entities are interested in that as well. They'll be able to help them with that. And I apologize, I didn't have the slides for it, so the slides you have are only for our investments, which Paul will get to in just a sec. And then the final thing I wanted to mention, and I don't know who will be at NASS, but this was going to be rolled out there, is a dashboard that we are creating for our partners to be able to look at all their data, whether they have us pull reports for them or they want to do one-off reports by themselves to look at some information, whether it's for marketing or to be able to show to the legislature, depending on different things you want to do. That's going to become available early next year. So that's something we're excited about too.
Okay.
Like I said, this was just the first introduction. If anyone has any questions before we go on to Paul, let me know.
This is the treasurer. Just for you or our staff, I need to know the effective date of the law that changed the eligibility age from 26 to 46.
January 1, 2026 is when it goes into effect.
Okay.
So about 18 months from now.
And I'd like to know if that was a standalone bill or if it was part of some kind of.
It was part of Secure Act 2.0.
Okay. So at that point, I'd like to know who voted for it and who voted against it. I mean, Congress's approval ratings are at an all-time low, lifetime low. So I think anytime that we can point towards something that they did right, that we probably should take that opportunity, especially since the ABLE program, as we approach our 10-year anniversary, was created by our own U.S. Senator Richard Burr. So just a little bit of history there. So, okay. Thank you. Who's next on this census list?
Paul.
Paul, you have the floor.
Okay, if we could move a couple of slides ahead to the investment area.
Okay.
Right there, perfect. Okay, so good morning to everyone. I'm going to start off with just talking about the assets. It was mentioned earlier about the growth that we've had in the plan has been tremendous. Over the last year, we continue to see a strong equity market contributing to that asset growth. So about 27 million in the NC Able plan as of the end of the first quarter. That is growth of about 2.5 million or 10.3%. And it was even stronger year over year, growth of $7.1 million, which is growth of about 35%. So if we compare that to kind of the rest of the National Labor Alliance as a whole, it was just a tad behind the alliance as a whole at 10.7% for the quarter, but much stronger for the full year, where the National Label was only about 30%. And I think that basically has to do with the equity markets as well, because when we look at all 19 states, there's only about 3 plans or 3 states that have 50% or more of the assets in those top 4 most aggressive funds. So the aggressive, moderately aggressive, growth, and moderate option. And NC Able has the highest percentage of assets allocated to those 4 portfolios at about 57%. So we see some states down at, low 30s. Good portion of them are in the 40s, 45%. But only NC Able, Pennsylvania, and DC are above that 50% mark. And as I said, NC Able is at about 57%. So those assets you can think to, should be a little bit longer term. And when we get strong equity markets, they get boosted by that as well. So we did see kind of strong growth because of those equity markets.
Thank you, Paul.
We also,
Paul, you're remote and our people are remote. Can you choke up to the mic a little bit?
sure, sorry about that. Okay, and also on kind of, we see returns on the fixed income side. We saw kind of interest rates rise. That kind of hurt longer duration bonds, and spreads tightened. But we do have kind of a shorter duration tilt to our bonds, so that helped keep that kind of negative impact of returns a little bit more muted, and that helped performance. But that's why you see kind of higher performance for kind of the more equity heavy portfolios as we go through these portfolios. And we see a little bit more kind of variance if you look on the 1 year mark, especially towards the more conservative side. That is because kind of the inverted bond market and the impact that the cash portion has compared to the short-term treasuries. So those short-term treasuries are generally about 3 months, where our bank high yield savings has a little bit longer duration. And with the inverted yield market, that brings a little bit lower a yield to our product than you'll get from the short-term treasuries at this point. But in a normalized market, that portion of our allocation should outperform. If we could switch to the next slide. So this is a look at the equity underlying funds. So what we have here is the top 2 funds make up the U.S. equity market. The next 2 funds make up the international market, and then we have kind of a real estate allocation as well. So for the quarter, similar case to what we've seen over the last couple of years. Really, that large cap space has been outperforming those small and mid cap space in the U.S. market. That's generally been held. I'm sure you've heard a number of times in our meetings that Magnificent 7 stocks, those high growth technology stocks like Amazon, Facebook, Google. Those have been kind of really leading the charge. NVIDIA, especially over the last year. And so it's been a top heavy market, especially on that large cap side. For the international markets, a little bit different, where we see the developed markets really leading those emerging markets, but it's really due to kind of the struggles within China that have been causing the emerging markets to underperform. So it's about a couple, 2-3 years ago, China was about 40% of the benchmark that we track for the emerging markets. That is, with the struggles over the last 3 years, or even since Corona started, that has gone down from about 40% down to about 24% as far as the makeup of the benchmark allocation now. So a lower effect now, but still kind of a major portion of that index. And if we took China completely out of it, the oldest emerging market countries would actually be outperforming that developed markets. And then the last section here is the real estate section. That is really kind of very sensitive to interest rates, and we had a kick back up in interest rates this past quarter. That hurt kind of the real estate sector. So in the fourth quarter, we saw interest rates come down quite a bit. Real estate was one of the best performers. When we see interest rates kind of stick up a little bit with inflation being a little bit stickier, we see it get hit a little bit more. Over the next year, 2 years, we expect the Fed to be starting to decrease these interest rates. We expect the real estate market to be helped in that scenario. So we've mentioned in our quarterly meeting for the national label as a whole that we'd like to kind of lower our real estate allocation, but we still do like having a dedicated space for it, especially in the near future. We could see this being a solid sector within the U.S. economy. Any questions on the equity side?
No questions.
Okay, the last,
Are there any questions?
I have one more slide, which is the underlying for the fixed income. And as we mentioned, it was kind of a tick up in interest rates, so that hurts long-term and intermediate term bonds. So you see that total bond market had a negative 3% return. That was kind of the lowest performer of our five. We do kind of diversify the fixed income fairly well with that international bonds and having kind of short-term bonds and high yield in there. So having that short-term bond when interest rates are rising has helped our diversification. You can see kind of positive returns for the short-term bond, the short-term inflation-protected bonds, and the high yield continues to perform well as well. That high yield is only in the two most aggressive portfolios, the aggressive and moderately aggressive portfolio. But having the extra diversity beyond just the total bond market has helped these portfolios really since inception into the plan. And that's it for me. Any questions overall of plan performance or underlying performance?
Any questions from the audience? Paul, this is for either you or Kimberly. The administrative fee that our participants pay goes into a reserve fund, I presume, just like it does here with the 401k at the treasurer's office. Is that correct?
I'm not sure what it goes into. I know it's within the plan level performance as far as the fees that get paid within the performance.
Okay. Right. What I was getting at, unlike our 401k, is that the money that's going into reserve to run the plan is earning a higher rate of interest. That's how we've been able to do fee holidays and lower fees, is because the interest we're earning on the money that's sitting in reserves is more than we anticipated. Second question for you or Kimberly, this is the treasurer again. As we launch out on these employer initiatives, like with Krispy Kreme and others, and Christy sort of went through that pretty quickly. This is kind of a big deal. State employees have a flexible spending account. I guess you describe how you think it will roll, how you think it will happen.
Going into like the private sector?
Yes.
And working with Krispy Kreme?
Yeah, but how do you think an employee at Krispy Kreme who has an able child, dependent, how do you think they'll be able, what's the mechanics?
We're actually working through that specific thing right now. So we're going to be, we've created some custom materials for them. We're going to be working directly with their HR or their payroll department so that they can go ahead and make direct deposits into their ABLE accounts, as well as the HR people who are hiring. At Krispy Kreme, they are a North Carolina company, but they are a national company. And of course, we can have anybody join ABLE from all around the country. So they're really excited about the program and introducing it as a benefit for their employees. So operationally, we're still kind of working through with payroll on how they're going to get all of that done. And with that, I will be working with the census to make sure that they're kind of prioritized as we kind of roll it out, because we hope that this is the first of many. But this is our first corporate client that is bringing it on as a complete benefit.
And I think maybe further to your question is when they have their annual enrollment and they introduce the benefits package to all of their employees, ABLE will be one of those items listed in terms of a benefit package to make them aware.
So yes, just like they offer, and it's for part-time employees and full-time employees. And, they have a website of their benefits. So just like an FSA or an HSA or things like that, we actually have a section on their website so that people can find out more information, download the direct deposit form, speak with whoever they need to speak to get that rolling.
So just like I have money taken out of my check for dental,
Yes,
this will be money taken out of my check for an ABLE account.
correct. But it will be post-tax.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right,
like
good.
a direct deposit. Yeah.
We have a question from the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. This is Katie Boskin. So along those lines, I was looking at the census report, page 19, and it looks like we're maybe not reaching all 100 counties yet. Is that an accurate perception? Did I count correctly?
Right, is your question about, do we have someone from each county who has an ABLE account?
Correct.
I think we used to have one account in every county, but that may have changed.
Okay.
Okay.
It's like there's
There's
84
at
up
least
there.
one account in 87 of the 100 counties.
Okay. The
Okay,
answer,
so
Commissioner, is that we have one account in at least 87 of the 100 counties.
okay. And so my question is there any analysis intended around how do we reach the remaining 13 counties? I don't think that disabilities are distributed per county, but I can clearly Wake County has been the most effective at reaching people. That's unsurprising to me, but I am concerned about reaching the other 13 remaining counties.
So I can answer that. We kind of did a pilot program recently with the town of Wake Forest and with their Parks and Rec department. The majority of the Parks and Rec departments around the state have specialized programs for people with disabilities. So because this is local and because we were able to try it out here, we went ahead and kind of launched a program with them where we're doing webinars and making sure our materials are there and working specifically with that Parks and Rec department. Our goal is to go ahead and do that across the state, where we can partner with that specialized program with the Parks and Rec and reach everyone across the state that's active either as an adult or is a parent of a person with a disability.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a really positive way to do that.
Right.
Commissioner, that's a great thing to point out and something that we will be focused on.
I appreciate it. I think it dovetails nicely into the census enrollment survey, which is a slide down further, where you can see the variety of ways that people are learning about ABLE accounts. I think people who are eligible for these accounts don't have a lot of time to worry about this sort of thing. So making it easier, as you pointed out, with the organizational partnerships and using direct deposit forms and reaching parents or contributors at that stage could be really useful and could really be a growth opportunity.
Great idea. Thank you. We will incorporate that, I promise. Okay. Any other questions for a census?
I just wanted to provide a little feedback as well. I think the relationship with Krispy Kreme is great. The country thanks you for Krispy Kreme. And I think we are not only working with people who could contribute to their children's accounts in certain instances, but contribute through Able to Work, where if you have employment and you have your own Able account, you can contribute additional dollars. So I think that could be another great way of using that relationship with Krispy Kreme. I'll also say that with our entity enrollment, we're going to be looking for ways to reach out to advocacy organizations, state organizations that assist those with disabilities or those who are in the foster system, and be able to put this easier enrollment flow in front of them, which will hopefully help reach more counties and take some of the work and the onus out of opening able accounts for clients.
And for the minutes, that was Melinda Plew. And Melinda, we have some guests on our call today who may be able board members in the future. Can you give a brief outline of your pedigree and your involvement in this across the state? That was Kimberly. Oh, I'm sorry, Kimberly. That was Kimberly. She sounded a lot like Melinda. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Kimberly.
Yeah,
I mean, Melinda.
sorry. I'm happy to introduce myself, but I didn't have those words. That was Kimberly.
Anyway, I apologize. Anyway, Melinda, just tell
Sure.
us a bit about yourself, please.
Sure. I'm Melinda Plume. I'm Director of Advocacy for the ARC of North Carolina. So that would be your statewide disability advocacy organization. I'm also a family member of someone with with an ABLE account, and I have been around in this state and with the board of ABLE for a long time, and here to provide whatever assistance I can for on the advocacy disability side.
Thank you.
Sure.
Tim, are you with us? Yeah. Okay.
Me?
Marquita is an appointee of the governor. If you want to give just a brief description of your involvement.
Hi there. I represent and work in financial empowerment and financial inclusion, and extending this or including people living with disability is very important. And also, we find a large number of um, low income individuals are people living with disabilities. So the work that ABLE is doing and the work of the treasurer's office is very important. And I'm excited to talk more with you about the intersections of um, LMI, low income families, and people living with disabilities.
And you heard previously from Commissioner Boskin. She is the commissioner of the North Carolina Commission of Office of Banks, which is the chief regulator of all the state chartered banks in North Carolina, and oversees banks you probably have heard of, BB&T, Truist, and First Citizens and First Bank as an example. So, Kate, Commissioner, you want to say a word or two about your interest?
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. Yes, that is an accurate summation. My office does oversee state chartered banks, mortgage lenders, money transmitters, and a variety of other financial service products. The ABLE board, I'm a member of this ABLE board by virtue of the office that I hold. But like Melinda, I also am a family member of someone who is eligible for an ABLE account. So I have lived this the other direction as well. So thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Good. Thank you. And Chris?
Thank you, Treasurer. My name is Chris Egan, and I serve on this board as the representative for Cody Kinsley, the Secretary for the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. But as has already been stated by several other board members, my efforts to advocate for this go back to basically the beginning, and as part of my role as the previous role as a council director for the director for the North Carolina Council on Developmental Disabilities as well. and was so pleased to see this get over the finish line. And of course, had a chance to be at the governor's mansion when we also had the signature here, and Senator Burr was there as well. And so exciting to see the growth. And I'll close with the fact that I'm also the parent. My daughter is eligible for an account and as well, and actually need to open that. We've been talking about that, and she plans to open an ABLE account as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris, and be sure to tell Secretary Kinsley we said hello, and know he has not just a mind for this, but also a heart for this. So thank you for your participation. With
Thank you.
that, we'll go around the horn. Did I miss anybody? Okay. To see if any board members have any closing comments. But before doing so, I have to officially check this off. Has anyone signed up for public comment section? Having no one signed up, we hereby deem public comment section to be closed. So we'll go around the horn to see if anyone has any final closing remarks they'd like to make. Thank you. And before we adjourn, Jeff, you want to introduce some staff members or talk about staff?
Sure. So we have a Christy Fairley, who is our communications and marketing person for NC Able. Shanta Boley is our SRP compliance officer and our minute taker for the board meetings. Kristen Merrick is the financial person in SRP, but also does some of our outreach for NC Able. And Patty Hall, as you know, is the one that keeps us all straight and keeps us in line and on track. And Reed, who's on the phone, is our legal officer for SRP, as well as the NC Able program.
Thank you. Shanta, is this your first meeting?
This is my first NC Able meeting. I did
Like say a couple of words.
Oh, well, my name is Shanta Boli. I replaced Alan Jaquith, who retired in February as a compliance officer. And so this is my first NC Able meeting, and I am happy to be here. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thanks for having us. And we describe Patty as the glue. So
Yes.
she keeps everything glued together for us. And when I'm coming out of my car with handfuls of things, she actually opens the door for me occasionally. So Patty, thank you for keeping me in the building.
Did you introduce Tom?
Yeah. And we're going to give Tom an opportunity to say something. Thank you. Thank you, all of you, for making this program jump up on the table. And going back to Chris's comments, coming up on the 10-year anniversary is something that we're very proud of, and that just didn't happen overnight. So thank you all very much. So, Tom.
Well, we have a good team. They do a great job where I don't have to have anxiety over Able and the supplemental plans as well. They work well together and come together to make this meeting, things outside this meeting, just to get the materials together. Making sure all the IT works before we come in, as Patty stressed yesterday about it. So it's good to see no stress on Patty today.
So we went to buy her hair coloring today.
We were close.
That's what I hear in my office all the time. If you keep acting this way, you're going to pay for some hair coloring. So that's what I hear in my office. So Patty is nothing.
I could use some, apparently.
Yeah. You got great hair. So, well, thank you all for joining us. And as Commissioner Boskin, I hope will attest, we start our meetings on time. So, Shante, for compliance purposes, we do that. I apologize for getting the minutes mixed up as far as the thinking that Melinda was speaking when it was actually Kimberly. So I apologize for that. And in honor of those law enforcement officers who were ambushed and murdered 2 weeks ago in Charlotte, I'd like to adjourn our meeting in honor of those individuals, their families, and those communities. So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. This is Melinda.
Thank you, Melinda.
This is Katie.
Second,
I'll second.
motion is second. Any further discussion on adjournment? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Treasurer Falwell,
Aye.
Chris Egan,
Aye.
and Marquita Robinson.
Aye.
The ayes have it. We're hereby adjourned. Thank you all very much. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.